What's up, Buttercup? I'm Pam Barnes, marketing expert.
And I'm Hannah Cox, business strategist.
And this is the Go Getter Gals podcast,
where everyday gals grow together and you'll find resources to help you grow personally and professionally.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Hannah. Are we excited for today's podcast?
Yeah, I think this is a really important topic to talk about. It's something that just kind of happens, and it happens to everyone, but we don't take some time to sit down and talk about this type of situation that we all find ourselves in.
So what are we talking about today?
I think we're talking about the navigating big life changes or transitions that happen. So like I was saying that just happens to everybody. Whether you want it to or not, you're always transitioning into something new that's happening. It could be something that you transition to week by week, or it could be something that just happens year by year or decade by decade. But we all find ourselves in a situation where life is changing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we're going to talk about that today, ladies, because you are not alone in this 110%, gals. Trust me. And we're going to talk about some of the transitions that we've been through in our lives. And most of the time, they happen fast, like really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I feel like the most prominent example, at least for us here at Go Getter Gals, is the transition that you're going through right now.
Yes. So when life comes at you and throws you curveballs, ladies, like we know this, right? It can be quite intimidating and stressful. We're going to go with stressful. And what's happening with me is my husband joined the military in the summer, and now we're moving. We are moving from my life, from my girls, my gals that I love so much. We're moving from my home. Like, this is the very first time in my life that I've actually felt 100% at home.
Oh.
I know, it's so heartbreaking, guys, but think about that. And for the listeners out there, if you haven't found your home yet, you better go look, because you're going to find it. You are going to find it. Trust me. As soon as I walked into Dothan, like, I loved it immediately. And then it took about 6 months. And then once I started getting into the community, I felt so different here, gals. Like, I felt like Pam, the Pam that I have been dreaming about being since I was an itty bitty girl. You know what I mean? Like that girl that inside of you that dreamed about having that confident gal that walks up to you and tells you about their day and it's just glowing. Like, that was me. I felt that almost every single day. I used to say all the time, I love my job. I love my life. I would come home and tell my husband this. And you know what, gals, if you're listening to this, do not be discouraged one flipping bit, because I'm going to tell you, it has not been like that. I found most of my life, I found that when I was 37, right? 38? I don't know. It's been 2 years. 36. I was 36. 7. I don't know. Anyway, somewhere around there. I don't do math. I don't even know how old I am. My husband's 39, so I'm 37. So I found it at 35. There we go.
Yeah.
But anyways, so do not be like, oh my gosh, must be nice. You're going to get that out of your head right now. Okay. We're done with that. It's going to be more of, how do I get that? How do I find that? And, part of that is the transition. Like, you have to be brave enough to let things go to be able to move forward and get what you're going to get. Let me finish my thought real quick. Jordan Peterson said this before I moved, right? Before I pulled the trigger and I was like, I'm going to do this. Jordan Peterson said, and moved here. He said, you have to ask yourself what you're willing to sacrifice to get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that is scary. That is so scary. And I was sitting in my bed. I will never forget this. I was sitting in my bed and I'm like, I want a life that I love. I want to have a business that's successful. How do I get that? What am I willing to sacrifice? And I'm sitting at the edge of my bed and I literally heard, everything except for my immediate family. I was willing to leave my home, the home that I in Tennessee that I had. I was willing to leave that. I was willing to leave my mom and my dad, my friends that were there, and I lost more than I realized I would lose. But at the same time, 6 months later, I became the woman that I dreamed of when I was a little girl. So it all worked out. It all worked out. And now I'm having to transition again.
I want to like point that out. I know that we've had a lot of conversations about this upcoming transition of yours over the past few months and a lot of emotions about it. But I don't want you to forget that you had to navigate a big transition in life to get to this point.
I
So
know.
these are, these are things that this is the cycle of life. To get where you want to be, you have to make those sacrifices. And to get to that next level, I just picture for you, Pam, all the things that are coming with Go Getter Gals and all the things that you're building in your life, this ideal life that you've painted for me when we've had conversations. And I just know, I say this a lot to my clients too. This type of transition and growth, it's painful always, but I like to imagine the like that giant gap that you have to jump over. And if you need to make a giant jump, you're not just going to do it from standing still. You have to move backwards a little bit first so that you can get that running start. And so if you feel like you're moving backwards right now, that's normal. That's part of moving forward. You have to move backwards sometimes to take the leaps forward that you need to take. So I just love, I don't know if you caught that even when you were saying it, because I was about to say that and then you said it. And I just wanted to make sure you were connecting the dots here, that you look back on that big life transition fondly and like as a, wow, this is a big part of my journey, of made me who I am today. And right now, this big transition that you're about to hit, you're not looking at it so fondly. You're kind of angry at it. You're kind of anxious about it. And I know that in a year, you're going to look back at this transition fondly because of who you're going to be a year from now.
Yes, yes. And let's sit in that for a minute. Let's sit in that for a minute and let's go through that, because one thing that we don't really talk about a lot, because we push through, right? How many times have you heard a woman say, "I'm fine," or "I got this, I can do this, I'm fine,"
All the time.
and their life is blowing up, because they tell you. But then when they're out in public or they're trying to push through it and move through it in survival mode, right?
Mhm.
I'm fine. So let's talk about that for a minute. Like, how uncomfortable growth actually is when it comes to transitioning. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Oh my, it's always uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not actually transitioning. Nothing's changing if you're not uncomfortable. And I think that, kind of talking about my own experience of navigating big transitions, I, very similarly to you, I had prayed. I was like, yeah, I would say even 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, I was working at a position doing something I loved doing for a company that made me hate my job. Like how they did things, the expectations of how I showed up really burned me out, and I was scared, I was anxious because everything felt like up in the air, and I was just like swimming. I was like, just keep treading water, just keep swimming. But I remember praying, and I don't even know if I meant to, but I was in this part of my life where I was really trying to reconnect with God, and I was being really intentional with making space to pray every day. And I just found myself saying a similar prayer of like, I just want to do what I'm meant to do. I want to live a happy life. I want to feel fulfilled. And God, I want you to just do whatever you need me to do. And I'm following it. And then I was pushed off a cliff back in May or like end of April of last year. So it's almost been a whole year since the company I was working for made a big shift and pulled the rug out of me and a bunch of other women at the company and was like, you got to go. We're making a change and we're laying you off. And I was the only income at the time in our house with 2 small children. And the rug was pulled out from under me. And I first was really upset, like, oh my God, how could this happen? And then I remembered that I asked for this to happen.
You did, didn't
You know,
you?
exactly what I wanted to happen happened, just not in the way I imagined it was supposed to.
Yes, yes. Be careful what you ask for.
Yes. And it was hard. Of course it's hard. You know, all of a sudden you have all of the stress of like life is going to look different and I don't have any control in how I got to this point, but I can put my hands on the wheel and figure out which direction I'm going to drive next. And so yeah, transitioning, you know, I had the choice to go find another job, but I chose to be my own boss. And so and that's the story of how I think I affectionately, when I was talking to another podcast at the time, I was a guest on another podcast and I was like, oh yeah, I went from laid off to fully launched in 30 days, you know, like I just killed it for 30 days and created a business out of nothing. And then did really good with it. So, I mean, it was hard, but and it was painful and there was a lot of tears and there were a lot of late nights and there was a lot of why did this have to happen right now? I have a, you know, my baby had just turned a year old and like and I had my toddler too. I had a toddler and a baby. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" But of course, look at same way that you feel. It took about 6 months from being pushed off the ledge for me to like really find my wings and just like fly and feel really confident in who I am as a person. And I'm still in a big transition, a different transition. But that's kind of goes to what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode is that life is just a transition. It's a chapter after chapter after chapter. And you don't always have control on what's being written, but you have the ability to accept what you're given and make the best out of it. Lemons in the lemonade and all that good stuff. So
I know. And easier said than done. Easier said than done. So you said two things that really, really triggered me. And I think we need to talk about it, but in a good way, not a bad way. Like it was like, oh, we got to talk about this. So first off, you said I was in a job that I loved. I was doing what I love for a company that made me hate it,
yeah.
which is so true. And as women and men and just people in society, when we find a job that we love, it is so hard to let that go. We
Yeah.
expect it to be like, this is the best it's going to be. And I can't let this go like at all. And we start fitting ourselves to, you know, or changing ourselves to fit to make sure that we stay. And then we become unhappy and unhappy and unhappy and unhappy. And again, it goes back to what I said. What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? Because if you're not happy and if you're starting to hate what you're doing, because of the scenario that you're in, you need to let it go. And it's really hard to swallow that pill. It's extremely hard to swallow that pill. But it's important. It's really important because that is God, universe, whatever you believe in. That is what's guiding you to where you're supposed to go. And if you don't go, here's something you really need to know about this, guys. I did not want to leave to come to Dothan. I did not want to leave going from Dothan. I really believe. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. I did want to leave to come here. I felt like I was living the story of Job because I was fighting it. And all of a sudden, things just started dropping. And I was literally it felt like I was being shoved out. And it was hard. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? But if I wouldn't have left, if I would not have left, I wouldn't have realized that it wasn't anything I was doing wrong. I was in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And I needed to leave. And I was refusing to leave. I mean, I was kicking and screaming, gals, kicking and screaming. And then 6 months later, I became the woman that I always dreamed I could be and hoped and prayed that I could be. And then the transition from Dothan to where I'm going to go now, gals, I had a complete come apart, like complete come apart. And I didn't talk to anybody about it really. I cried a lot the first month and a half, and I was a nervous wreck. Now let's talk about that for a minute. I was a nervous wreck. I didn't address it. And then I continued being a nervous wreck. Well, the day that my husband, 2 days before my husband left for military, BMT, whatever it is. Again, I'm ex-military, but I can't think about it right now because my brain. When he went off to boot camp, I got sick. And I have been sick since December. My body has just been struggling bad. And I'm not able to do a lot of the different things. But here's another thing that's happened. My business has tripled almost.
Yeah.
So I got sick and my business tripled. And I refused to leave. I told my husband I wasn't going until he moves. That was the plan. I was going to go visit him. No, that's not happening anymore. I'm moving in 2 weeks now because everything else happened. So here's what I got to tell you. You may have a plan and you may want to stick to that plan, but there is no roadmap when it comes to transitioning your life, when it comes to big change and some changes you don't have any control of. Hannah didn't have any control of her losing her job. I didn't have any control over my husband joining the military. Like, I couldn't tell him no. I joined the military. Like, that would make me a huge hypocrite if I would have said, no, you can't join the military. Absolutely not. Because I joined with him. Like, I joined, we got married, and we've been married for, 16 years and 17 years been together. So,
well,
there is no roadmap.
There's a lot of also important to acknowledge the big transitions and life changes that we do have control over. Like, I know another thing that I told you I wanted to talk about was becoming a mother. Because I know that our listeners aren't just business owners. So when I think about that transition from no kids to one kid, that was a decision I 100% wanted and chose to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't make it any easier to navigate. And I hear, especially now in today's climate, there are a lot of people, a lot of women talking about the negatives of motherhood. I'm not sure where that shift happened. I feel like it's a pendulum. Like, at one side, no one ever talked about the negative. Everyone was like, oh, be a mom, it's great. Nothing's wrong ever. And then it swings to the opposite side where women are like, don't have children. It's the worst thing ever.
Yes, I have a couple friends that are like that. And sometimes, depending on the day, I will be that. I'll call my best friend who I've known since I was 13. She's also family. We're raised together, basically. And sometimes when we're having a really hard day, because we have 2 girls, she's got a girl and I got a girl, and they're exactly like us. So, oh my gosh, my mom is having the time of her life when my daughter goes on her little spills. But anyways, so we'll call each other and we'll say stuff like that. Like, we will say stuff like that. And I don't mean it, of course.
Hey gals, if you love what you're hearing and you want to get more involved, because trust me, I love Go Getter Gals. I'm obsessed with it. If you love this podcast as much as we do, all you have to do is go on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, and we're under Go-Getter Gals. We are going to have all of our episodes on the podcast link on our website at go-gettergals.com. Thank you for allowing me to interrupt for just a second. We look forward to continuing to help you grow. Without further ado, here's the Go Getter Gals podcast.
Well, and I think it's okay. And this is the part of this navigating that I feel like it's really important that women hear, is that it's okay if you feel the negative things about your decisions. I decided, so I had always wanted to be a mom. Anyone who's known me since I was a child knows that I had a lot, like a list of like 50 names. And I was like, I'm going to have 10 kids, like I just knew I wanted to be a mom. And I was the youngest. There were no younger children in my family for me to care for. And I struggled with fertility. So I didn't have my first child until I was 30. And I didn't know how to change his diaper. And that hit me like a bag of bricks in the hospital room. They were like, here's some diapers. He's going to have his first poop, that really yucky black poop or whatever that they have first. And I was like, oh no, I don't know how to change a diaper. And I was just bawling, hormones, obviously. I was like, oh no, what do I do? I've never taken care of a baby before. The nurse had to teach me how to change a diaper in the hospital room, which is ridiculous because changing a diaper is super easy and it's very intuitive. Anyone can really do it. But I was in my head. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. What did I do? Did I make a mistake having a child, even though I had always known that I wanted him? And, and I told you before this episode, I actually told you like a week ago when we were talking about this episode, and I was cleaning out my computer, like notes app, and I am not a poetry writer. I am not an artist, but I found a note in my notes app that I wrote at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in my son's nursery, in that little gliding chair with my baby on my chest because he wasn't sleeping, because he was a horrible sleeper. And I had it on my phone and I just typed out a poem about this transition that I never read again until almost 4 years later now. And I read it last week and I just bawled because I remembered how hard it was to navigate having no child experience, having no children, to having a very colicky, really difficult baby. And what it was like to navigate that in the early weeks. And but knowing that when I cried reading that poem that I wrote, I wasn't crying because I was like, wow, I was so miserable. I was crying because even while it was difficult, I could see in my own words that I understood the beauty of this transition and what was coming next to my life. I think I called it If I'm Lucky. And the beginning of it was like, if I'm lucky, I'll get an extra hour of sleep. If I'm lucky, I'll get to take a shower. And by the end of it, it was like, if I'm lucky, I'll remember to cherish the time I have with you right now. So it was like a transition of like, if I'm lucky, I can just like have a minute to myself, to if I'm lucky, I'll never let this memory go. And parenthood is one example of that. But when we think about all of the decisions we make, not the decisions that are made for us, it's important to remember that, excuse me, it's important to remember that we are really blessed to be able to experience the pain that comes with upgrading your life, leveling up,
That.
and I think, yeah, I hear you when you talk about the things that are out of our control, but I want women to acknowledge that it's okay to feel the negative things we feel about the things that are in our control. And that it's still going to be okay and we'll still get through it.
We will. No, you're right. We will. We 100% will. We just have to decide that we're not going to let this defeat us. And that's a hard decision to make, especially when it comes to the no roadmap. And you don't know which way's right. And I woke up in a panic attack yesterday. which part of that was hormones. Part of it was hormones. Now I know it was hormones and I wasn't crazy. But anyways, I woke up in a panic attack yesterday and I canceled my plans yesterday. I didn't do anything because I had crippling anxiety of what decision do I make first? What do I do first? I don't know what to do first because I've got to move. I've got to go find a house. I've got to pay for a mover because we're not going to have the military move us. I mean, I'm not going to go there again. If you're listening to this and you're fixing a transition in the military, do not have them move you. That's a nightmare. But anyways, and so moving, getting a house, renting out my house. I have to start that too. Like, where do I start there? I literally called my mover guy, which is one of my clients. I called the lady that helped me buy my house, and I called them in just complete defeat. Because here's the thing that I want you to take from this. You cannot do it all. You can, but it's going to hurt.
You're going to burn yourself out. You'll put yourself in a position where you're unhappy later because you didn't give yourself a chance to actually grow into whatever you're transitioning to. You just started putting your head down and just, I'll take care of everything.
Exactly. And so in a panic, I called the people that I needed to talk to say, and I literally told them, I don't know what to do. I know what I need to do. I just don't know what to do first. And I'm freaking out. And I was honest. And my moving guy, which was one of my clients, the moving guys in Enterprise, Alabama, he was like, okay, well, let's do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, I can do that. That's digestible. And then I had Ashley, the one, she's a realtor, and she was like, okay, I'll do this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, I'll pay you this much. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. So it's one of those, yes, this sucks. Do I want to do it? No, but I am, instead of 100% not wanting to, I am now 80-20.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like I have a plan. Now, is it going to stick to that plan? Probably not. There's going to be some more curveballs coming my way, and I'm going to have, a little come apart here and there. But I do know for certain, I do know that there are blessings on the other side. I do know that life is happening for me, not to me. I do know that. So I can just hold on to that and ask for help. Ask for lots of help.
And that's such a big part of how to navigate this, because I know that I didn't want this episode to be just this really heavy conversation about all the things that happen to us or for us. I did want to talk about, how can you navigate things easier? And the unfortunate answer is that you just have to go through it. The only way through it is through it. And I think something that could help is a mindset shift of like, and this is something that brought me a lot of comfort. And I know that it doesn't bring a lot of people comfort. Some people get really stressed out at this thought. It brought me comfort. So I'm going to say it. It's going to happen no matter what. There are no wrong decisions in life, truly. If whatever decision you make is just the next step forward. And yes, some decisions lead you down a different path than others, but there truly is no wrong decision. And I know that there are going to be people who will be like, well, what about drug addicts? Well, what about blah, blah, blah? Is it a comfortable decision? No. Does it lead to a comfortable life? No, but there's always the next decision that you can make. And if you do go down a path that you feel like is not redeemable, then you're wrong. It is. You can always find redemption. And that path that you took was not a wrong path. It was just an alternate path that made you who you are today. The people that I know in my life who struggled with addiction, the people I know in my life who got married too young to the wrong person, you know, the people that they are today, they wouldn't be if they didn't go through those things. So to me, while those were difficult and maybe not the most pleasant decisions, I don't consider them the wrong decision. And to know that there truly is no wrong decision for me to make brings me so much comfort, because I can get through anything that comes next. If I have the military move my family instead of a moving company, is that the wrong decision? No, but you'll deal with it on the other side of it.
Right. Another thing too, again, I mentioned is ask for help.
Yeah.
So who do you ask for help? People that have been through it.
Mhm.
I ask the moving guys because they move people all day long.
Right.
They would know what the next step is. And plus, I trust him. I
Mhm.
trust him with being vulnerable. That's another thing too. When you're going to ask for help, you have to ask for help from people that, if you can, now sometimes you can't, and that's okay, but people that you're uncomfortable or comfortable being uncomfortable with,
Mhm.
because you're not going to be able to tell the full truth. And this is literally what I told Tucker yesterday. I know I can be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you it all because I've got to get it off my chest. I've got to figure out what the next plan is. So here it is. And we walked through it. Ashley was exactly the same way. She called me and she started creating a plan for me to do it because she is an entrepreneurial minded person. And I said, that's great. But I literally stopped her and told her what I needed. I needed someone to take it over for just a little while and maybe forever. I don't know. But I needed her to take it off my plate because I couldn't do it. I was so overwhelmed. And guess what? She took it. But if she would have said no, then I would have went down the list and found someone to take it off my plate because I
Right.
can't do it all, kind of thing. So with that being said, and to go back, you have to ask for help. And you
Yeah.
have to be okay with being uncomfortable with those people to get the help that you need. And you also have to hold to your boundaries and not people please, not try to do more because you feel like you're being an inconvenience. Trust me, I am right there with you. I hate asking for help. And this transition has helped me ask for help more because I have literally physically not been able to do it. Like physically, I'm in the bed or have been in the bed a lot. So you have to be able to be like, I can't do this. I need you to do this. Can you do this? Kind of situation versus trying to people please. And then you also have to have a little talk with yourself later of just because you're going through what you're going through. Oh, I'm going to cry on this one. Just because you're going through what you're going through and it feels really hard, it doesn't define you. This is not your definition. I had someone come into my house yesterday and it's a mess. Guys, it's a mess because I've been physically sick and I've been stressed to the brim and I've been packing and all this stuff. Someone came into my house and it's one of my highest paying clients, guys. And I freaked out and I apologize, but I'm going to tell you to stop. Because as soon as I did that, I called someone that I know that's went through this. She's military wife and she's moved a lot and she owns a business and she's got 3 kids. Like I know she's been through it. I called her immediately and I said, I need you to give me a pep talk and tell me that just because my house is a mess right now, just because my life feels like it's falling to pieces all around me, that this doesn't define me, that I'm not going to lose my best client because my life is hectic, that they can see that this is just life. And sure enough, everything's fine. There's nothing wrong with anything that's, going on. They're still paying me. Life is still great. My world didn't blow up. So please, please, please put in those steps ladies, put in those steps. Call the people that you need, ask for the help that you need. That is most important. I hope you take that away and you get the help, all the help that you need, and you ask for it.
I'm
And not
so
beat yourself up.
glad that you brought up that you called a friend to get the pep talk, because I wanted to bring that up too, is that delegating tasks is great, and you do need to find the right people to ask for help for the things that need to get done that you don't have the energy or the bandwidth to do. But I think it's just as important to call someone for help for the emotional side of things, because I don't want people to think that they have to put on a strong face during these transitions. You know, it's okay to grieve what's getting left behind and be excited about what you're moving towards at the same time, but that's really complicated emotions, and you need to be able to have someone you can reach out to and be like, "I'm feeling really complicated right now. I feel so sad about all the things that are happening. I'm scared. I'm going to disappoint people. I'm excited about what I'm moving forward to. And I don't know what I'm allowed to feel. And I just need somebody to just let me express it all out. And that's it. I don't need advice. I don't need you to pack my house. I don't need you to tell me it'll be okay. You can. But I just need an ear that can just hear all of the complex emotions that I'm having and is safe to express that. So I'm glad that you mentioned your friend, because I feel like that's just as important when I think about asking for help during these big transitions, is to have a safe place to just say all the really weird stuff that you're feeling.
Oh yeah. And it's not going to be comfortable when we do it, because women, we don't want to burden people, right? We don't want to be a burden. So when we're sharing all that, a lot of us will say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like, don't do that, ladies. Don't do that, gals. Don't. So yeah, I think that is beautiful. I loved this podcast episode. I love all of them, but this one definitely, hopefully, God willing, will help so many women out there that are going through a big transition.
I think so too. I think the purpose that I wanted to come into this episode with was to express that you're not alone. Everybody's going through transitions, some people more than others. And some people's transitions are bigger than others, but they're all equal in the process of grief and acceptance and difficulty and excitement. And I feel like I really wanted everyone who's listening to this to know that their thoughts and feelings are not unique to them. And I hope that that's something that they hear and take comfort in, instead of being like, you know, I'm a unique person and like, you know, everything that's happening to me, no one could understand. And that's just not true. There's nothing new under the sun. And there is someone out there who's experienced something very similar, if not exactly what you have experienced. And to reach out for help, whether it's physical help or emotional help, and just don't allow yourself to lose yourself in the complex feelings. This is just what life is, baby. It's transition after transition, and you can take it with stride, and you can feel sad, and you can feel excited, and in my opinion, there's just no wrong way to do it.
No. Nope, there's not. Because you're going to have to do it anyways. The world, the universe, God, whatever he's telling you to do, whatever you're supposed to do, whatever your path is, it's your destiny, and there's no running from it. There's no running from it, because it's going to get rough if you do, and you're just going to end up doing it in the end anyways.
Right. Hey, gals. Thank you for listening to the Go Getter Gal podcast. All of the information for this episode can be found in the show notes. Make sure that you go and like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, as well as subscribe to us on YouTube. And to find the latest episodes of the Go Getter Gal podcast, you can visit our website at go-gettergals.com. See you next time.